7 years old. A Taoist priest claimed I had a unique eye. My dad, his face lighting up, asked if it was a divine eye or a celestial eye. A divine eye, he explained, could perceive the workings of all things, while a celestial eye could see the past and future. Owners of such eyes were 1 in 1,000,000. Extraordinary beings. The priest shook his head. It's a ghost eye, he said. Hey guys. This is a suspenseful short story. Just take a quick look. Not long after I was born, my mom noticed something unusual about me. When I was learning to walk, I'd be doing fine, then suddenly trip and fall for no apparent reason. I'd often cry inconsolably, and the usual methods parents use to comfort babies were useless. At night, when I fell asleep, I was eerily quiet, like a dead person. She'd often feel compelled to check for my breath. As I got a little older, the first words I spoke were, "Mom, I can't see clearly." That's when they realized there was something wrong with my eyes. Most of the time, my vision was normal. But sometimes, my sight would dim, like looking through a layer of gray glass. When the scene stabilized, I'd see more people walking around our house besides my mom and dad. Some of them would be smiling, pointing at me, while others had malevolent expressions and incomplete bodies. But my mom and dad acted as if they weren't there, seemingly oblivious to them. Perhaps out of fear. Those figures never got too close. Our family lived in a small coastal village. Though secluded, our life was quite comfortable. Dad owned a small convenience store and often went to the city to stock up, so he was well traveled. With a wave of his hand, he made a decision. "Son, we're going to the city to see a doctor." We went to the county seat, then to the provincial capital. We ate a lot of good food and saw many doctors. After much effort, we finally got an appointment with the most renowned ophthalmologist in the provincial capital. My dad pulled out a thick wad of cash and handed it to a man in a leather jacket, who gave him a small piece of paper in return. "Dad, is he a doctor?" I looked up and asked. My dad opened his wallet, tucked the paper deep inside, and then smiled, shaking his head. "He's a scalper." "That's good," I said, relieved. I was young then and didn't know what a scalper was. But I saw that the man in the leather jacket was surrounded by patients with festering wounds. A woman with half her head missing was clinging to the ceiling, her long tongue dangling down, licking the back of the man's head. I knew the scalper was going to die soon. The examination results came back, everything was normal. "Your son's vision is good enough for a pilot," the doctor said, handing the medical report to my dad with a chuckle. "That's impossible," my dad protested. "My son wouldn't lie to me. He used to trip all the time." "As a father, I understand how you feel," the doctor said, his tone unusually serious. "Medicine is very objective. The child has no visual impairment, and all indicators are normal. That means there's no problem." But my dad still wanted to argue. The doctor waved his hand. "Instead of his eyesight, you should be more concerned about your child's psychological well-being." I tugged at my dad's sleeve. "Dad, let's go. This big hospital has too many people only I can see." As I grew older, I gradually understood from adult conversations that these people were called ghosts or dead people. My dad wasn't satisfied. 6 months later, He took me to a hospital in New York. Uncle Henderson. I'm counting on you for my son's condition. My dad's voice was a bit restrained. Apparently, Grandpa Yang was the most successful person from our village in nearly a century, moving to the city early to become a doctor. A frequent guest of many influential people. Grandpa Yang looked at me and smiled kindly. It's nothing serious. Just change his name. Let's see. Don't call him Kevin anymore. Call him Emily. After returning from New York, my dad took me to the ancestral hall and respectfully paid his respects to our ancestors. After changing my name, my vision improved for a while. I no longer suddenly fell because of blurry vision. As long as my eyes were open, those dead people were everywhere in the village, never disappearing. That year, when I was 7, a Taoist priest came to our doorstep. Seeing me, he seemed surprised. Your son's eyes appear to be unusual. My dad quickly asked. Sir, have you noticed anything? The priest pondered for a long time, saying it seemed to be some kind of unusual eye. A celestial eye can know the past and future, and predict good or bad fortune. A divine eye can discern changes in the world and observe everything clearly. My dad hastily asked. What about my Emily's? The priest, after a quick calculation, brightened slightly. It seems you've met a true master. Otherwise, your son wouldn't have lived past 10 years. My dad, enraged, reached to grab his sleeve. The priest's words were cut off, and he began bleeding from all 7 orifices. Trembling like a leaf, he waved his hand to stop my dad, who slowly finished his sentence. The priest with the ghost eye didn't die. According to him, it was a backlash for revealing heavenly secrets. A ghost eye, also known as an yin-yang eye, allows one to communicate with the deceased and traverse both the human and spiritual realms. While rare, people with ghost eyes aren't unheard of. So why did simply revealing this fact cause him such severe injury? As he left, he said, "We are fated, and I can take you as my apprentice." My dad flatly refused. He instinctively felt it was best to keep a respectful distance from ghosts and spirits. The priest sighed, pulling out an old book from his robe. The arts of my sect are not to be lightly taught. I acquired this book during my travels years ago. Consider it a memento for the young friend. I took it and saw a word written on it. Xiangzhan or Xiangluan. As I kept reading, the entire word began to spin, then rushed into my mind. Oh. Right. The priest said, pointing to the jade pendant on my chest. Keep this safe, and you will turn misfortune into good fortune. We are fated. We will meet again someday. With that, he left. After that, I studied and read that book. Unexpectedly, it was a book about feng shui secrets. I was a natural at it. Whenever I had free time, I would open it and study it. From the book, I also learned many things. For example, after a person dies, their family often holds a funeral to help their soul pass on. If the rituals are incomplete, they can easily become wandering spirits, lingering in the human world for a long time before slowly dissipating. Wandering spirits are harmless to people. At most, they might cause a chill wind when they brush past someone. Most of the ghosts I saw were like this. However, those who die with strong resentment can easily become vengeful spirits, because scalpers controlled access to resources. Many patients couldn't get timely medical attention and died from their illnesses. Many of them turned into vengeful spirits after death. Vengeful spirits cannot directly kill people. They can only slowly deplete a person's life force. Once a vengeful spirit latches onto someone, it can lead to low spirits and physical weakness at best, or unforeseen accidents and death at worst. There's a type of vengeful spirit that dies in extreme pain, harboring deep resentment and possessing particularly strong souls. They transform into 1 in a million malevolent spirits. Malevolent spirits seek revenge, losing their minds and retaliating wildly, often harming innocent people. Reading this, my heart stirred. I remembered an incident from years ago. When I went to the provincial hospital as a child, the woman in the red dress hanging from the ceiling behind that scalper, she was most likely a malevolent spirit. At the time, I only knew she wanted revenge on the scalper. But I hadn't considered that she might also harm innocent people. It was summer vacation, so I used the excuse of attending a high school entrance exam cram course to get some money from my dad. I grabbed the book and boarded a bus to the provincial capital. At the provincial hospital, I went around asking people if they knew anyone who liked to wear a black leather jacket. People in leather jackets are everywhere, a nurse said. I even wear one after work. I thought for a moment and added, he liked to sell appointments. He was a scalper. What scalper? The young nurse's smile faded. I don't know him. Another, older nurse pulled me aside and quietly asked, Kid, where are you from? Why are you asking about this? It turned out that about 10 years ago, that scalper died in a car accident on his way home from the hospital. He was cut in half, and his head was also crushed. They said money was scattered all over the ground, stained with black debris, and no one dared to pick it up. He had harmed many people. It was karma. The nurse sighed. Auntie, in the months before he died, did any women die in car accidents? I asked. Her face changed, as if remembering something unpleasant. Why are you asking about that? It's bad luck. Go on. Hurry up. I found a local newspaper office. The owner was an old man. I pulled out $5. The old man thought for a moment. 10 years ago. Huh? I remember a woman was hit by a car and died outside the hospital. The old man took the money but only spoke halfway. Do you remember where? What was her name? I quickly asked. Gotta pay more, the old man said with a half-smile, extending his hand. I huffily pulled out another $10 and slapped it into his hand. Damn capitalism. I really can't remember clearly. I'll have to look for it. The old man went to a corner and opened a box filled with thick stacks of newspapers. One for each year. Pretty impressive. Huh? 2 hours later, he pulled out a newspaper. This is it. On a certain month and day, on Highland Drive, a car speeding caused 1 death and 3 injuries. The deceased was a woman. I held the newspaper, mentally calculating, and my expression suddenly changed dramatically. Oh no. Why would she be at the school? If a malevolent spirit went wild, the casualties would be immense. If I wasn't careful, all the teachers and students in the school would be buried with them. Late at night, I climbed over the fence and entered the school playground. Although it was July, gusts of cold wind blew through. Thick blood oozed from underground, covering my ankles. The entire playground turned into a sea of blood. Countless small ghosts emerged from the bloody sea, swirling around me, howling and shrieking. I pulled out the book the Taoist priest gave me and swung it forcefully. Each swing caused several small ghosts to dim, and some weaker ones directly disintegrated into ashes. The 4 large characters Evergreen High School on the school gate's plaque gradually became covered in bloodstains, transforming into Ghost School. This school had become a place of evil. No wonder. Since over 10 years ago, students at this school would jump from buildings or cut their wrists every year. I hadn't even seen the main entity yet. I continued swinging, trudging towards the center of the playground. In the center of the playground, there was no blood. A woman with long hair and a red dress sat there. Before I could speak, a bloody, blurry face flew towards me. A hand gripped my neck and forcefully pressed me into the sea of blood. The stench was putrid, the fear overwhelming, and I struggled to breathe. I desperately swung the book given by the Taoist priest, seemingly hitting something. It let out a scream, staggering back a few steps. "Why? Why won't you let me go?" she shrieked. The red-dressed female ghost seemed wary of the book in my hand. She kept changing shape, preparing to seize an opportunity to attack. "The scalper is dead," I said. "You've had your revenge. You should go to the afterlife." "Revenge on the scalper?" "Haha." The female ghost's nails grew long, and 2 streams of black blood flowed from her eye sockets. Ignoring the burning pain from the book, she grabbed my head and lifted me high. "My hatred is enough to kill him 100 times." The entire playground's blood began to boil. In the next second, my head would be crushed. Damn it. I've overplayed my hand. Enough. Ms. Smith. Teacher Smith. I struggled to speak. That afternoon, at the security office, I traded a pack of cigarettes for her name. Hearing that, the female ghost's eyes cleared somewhat. She let go, squatting on the ground and weeping. "Wah. He ruined the futures of hundreds of children." Ms. Smith was the homeroom teacher for a graduating senior class. The day she had her car accident was just days before the college entrance exam, and she was on her way to pick up the admission tickets. A speeding car hit her, and another scalper named John Doe picked up the bag containing the admission tickets. John Doe told her, in her semi-conscious state, that he would sell her spot for $20,000 before returning the tickets. If she had gone to the nearest hospital for emergency treatment, Ms. Smith would have been saved. But Ms. Smith insisted on going to the provincial hospital. She got stuck in traffic, and her condition worsened on the way. Before she died, her thoughts were still on the admission tickets for the children in those 2 classes. "Do you think such a person should be killed?" the female ghost asked. Looking up, in the moonlight, 2 clear streams of tears flowed. After hearing her description, I fell silent. Could it be that she became a malevolent spirit not because of her own death, but because of the children's futures? Thinking of something else, my nerves tensed again. Malevolent spirits must constantly absorb life force to survive in the human world. If she had only killed John Doe, she wouldn't have lasted for 10 years. "How many other people have you killed?" I asked. 13. She smiled. "You must think I'm an evil ghost, right? About once a year, I leave here and kill a scalper. I originally wanted to kill them all. But too much killing would make me completely lose my mind. Other times, I lock myself on the playground, unable to move an inch. I understood. The reason she confined herself to the playground was to continue protecting the students. The school originally had mischievous spirits, which she also suppressed here, preventing them from leaving. I thought the situation with these little ghosts would improve under my control. Ms. Smith said. But I didn't expect students to still commit suicide every year. She suddenly grabbed my hand. Little brother, you're not an ordinary person. Can you help me see if there are still powerful ghosts in this school? I shook my head and sighed deeply. Aside from the playground, there are no ghosts in the school. What could be something even ghosts can't see? The vanished weekends, the endless tutoring, the high expectations of parents. All of this has become the school's ghost. Society's ghost. This is just the beginning of the tragedy. Is this really just the beginning? Ms. Smith let go of my hand. As a former excellent teacher, she quickly understood this. Things will change. Right? She looked at me expectantly. My heart ached. It will get better. Ms. Smith. I'll take you somewhere. Okay. As soon as the words left my mouth, she shook her head wildly. No. No. I won't go. I can't let the negative energy contaminate the children's campus. She hesitated. It's all right, I said, taking her hand. We walked to a stone monument. Seeing the words on it, Ms. Smith was stunned, her body trembling, tears streaming down her face. In honor of our alma mater, and to our dearest teacher Smith, from the entire graduating classes of 2010, Class 1 and Class 2. Below it were densely packed names of every student. Perhaps at the very beginning, the scalper, John Doe, thought of taking advantage of the situation and extorting some money. After the matter escalated, he also feared being implicated and secretly returned the admission tickets. Teacher Smith, who had transformed into a vengeful spirit and confined herself to the playground, had not completely lost her sanity, but had remained unaware of these facts. I said softly. All 100 of those students participated in the college entrance examination. Some of them are now entrepreneurs. Some are lawyers. And some, like you, are teaching in schools. Teacher Smith. They are all very grateful to you. Ms. Smith cried and laughed. Good. Good. As long as the children are all right. I secretly observed, noticing that her grotesque face was continuously receding, transforming into that of a slender young woman. At this moment, her obsession had been resolved. This was a sign that the malevolent spirit was about to disappear. Thank you, child. Ms. Smith said, wiping away her tears. May I know your name? Emily. You are very brave and very capable, she whispered in my ear. Just next time, don't challenge malevolent spirits alone. My cheeks flushed slightly. The current me was indeed not yet a match for a malevolent spirit. Ms. Smith walked towards the playground, her slender figure gradually fading. One last thing, she said with a smile. You won't stop me, will you? Listen to your teacher, I replied, knowing she intended to take the little ghosts on the playground with her. The blood on the playground instantly gathered. swirling the little ghosts into it. Moments later, it dissipated with a bang. I looked at the small note in my palm that read "Good luck with your exams," and smiled knowingly. Goodbye, Teacher Smith. After returning to the village, my dad scolded me fiercely. He thought I had sneaked off to play and worried I might be kidnapped. But seeing me back, he was somewhat relieved. Since I was very young, I had stopped telling him about the world I saw. Not only because I feared his worry, but also out of a selfish desire to keep it to myself. This was my own unique other world. I successfully got into high school and learned some incantations. The most magical thing in the book was the Fuji spirit summoning technique I saw that year. This was a form of shamanism similar to inviting deities to possess one. But the conditions were so harsh that it was almost impossible to learn without a master's guidance. As I fretted over the spirit summoning technique, a piece of bad news spread through the village: Kevin was missing. He had been gone for a week, and neither the school nor his family could find him. Villagers began to spread rumors that he was a left-behind child, unprotected, and had been taken by ghosts. All nonsense. I asked all the ghosts in the village, and none were involved. A small ghost remained silent, pointed vaguely in a direction, and then fled in a panic. That old temple was forbidden in the village. A long time ago, before this place was called Yang Family Village, someone worshipped an evil deity in the temple, leading to a tragic massacre of the entire village. Later, when the Yang Family Village relocated here, they invited many monks and Taoist priests to perform rituals. And every 5 years, they specifically hired people to reinforce the seals. Looking in that direction, I had a faint, uneasy feeling. I brought my jade pendant and the book and headed towards the old temple. Numerous vengeful spirits swirled around the old temple. These spirits belonged to the villagers who had been wiped out before. Strangely, they all wandered around, but none dared to enter the temple gates. Without a doubt, something terrifying was suppressed here. With the jade pendant, the vengeful spirits retreated. I circled the temple exterior twice and noticed a patch of ground that clearly differed from its surroundings. While the rest was covered in moss, this spot had obviously been freshly dug. After a moment of hesitation, I returned home and informed the villagers of my discovery. Everyone discussed it animatedly. Some said a child's words couldn't be trusted, while others suggested inviting a master to excavate. Kevin's father's eyes turned red, and he grabbed a shovel and rushed out. "Uncle Smith, wait for me." I went home, grabbed a shovel, and followed him. Mr. Smith had been working out of town for years, and Kevin was his only son. How could he not be anxious when something like this happened? Several people dug for a long time, blood blisters forming and bursting on their hands. A corner of clothing became visible in the soil. Mr. Smith let out a loud cry and fainted. Everyone scrambled to help him to the side and sped up the digging. Kevin's face also became visible. My hands trembled as I dialed 911. Kevin had been hanged, with a deep ligature mark on his neck and multiple signs of beating on his body. Perhaps to conceal it, the killer had buried his body here in the old temple, where no one dared to approach. They just didn't expect someone as naive as me, or a father as desperate as Mr. Smith, who would do anything for his child. That night, I kept thinking about one question: do ghosts bury bodies? Do you know meat dumplings? Here, meat dumplings are not just a food. People who die by hanging are suspended in the air, like dangling meat dumplings, neither touching the sky nor the ground. Their resentment is the strongest. A meat dumpling ritual must be performed to send the deceased away and dispel their resentment. A week later, Mr. Smith invited a master to conduct Kevin's ceremony. The Taoist priest dressed as Zheng Kuei, one hand on a hemp rope, the other holding a soul-guiding banner. A procession of 20 people marched silently, beating gongs and drums, noisy yet solemn. I quickly ran and blocked the procession. No. Someone nearby quickly pulled me, whispering a reminder. Are you crazy? Don't block the way. During the meat dumpling ritual, it's taboo for bystanders, let alone blocking the path. Once you directly encounter it, you must follow the procession to the end. Otherwise, disaster will strike. I said. Kevin hasn't left yet. The person playing Zheng Kuei seemed thoughtful. For some reason, I felt he looked familiar. The meat dumpling ritual sends not only the body but also the soul. The ceremony was already halfway through. But why was Kevin's ghost still at the doorstep? Not leaving? I went to the door and saw Kevin looking distraught. A gray line extending from his ankle, leading to the old temple on the mountain. This line came from his soul. Once severed, Kevin would also turn to dust. That's why he was trapped here, unable to pass on. Kevin. Who hurt you? I asked him. He trembled, not making a sound. Even though he had been brutally murdered, he had not become a vengeful spirit, seeking revenge on the world. My blood rushed to my head. Whether human or ghost, I had to find the killer. I left the procession and rushed to the old temple, perhaps having absorbed Kevin's soul. The negative energy here was even stronger. I recited a protective incantation and stepped into the temple gate. Inside, there was a small Buddha statue. And below it, a small coffin had been added. On it, Great Black Mother was scrawled crookedly in bloodstains. My heart skipped a beat. Someone had begun to re-worship the evil deity. A pain in the back of my head, and I slowly fell to the ground. So much blood. When I woke, my hands were bound, and the blood on the back of my head had dried. 3 people who looked like middle schoolers stood before me: Sarah, David, and Michael. These 3 kids were known troublemakers in the village. Michael. Your hand is steady. I was worried you'd kill him, Sarah said, her face grim, though slender. She was clearly the leader of the trio. Michael scratched his head. I held back. Didn't want the Buddha mother to get angry. You killed Kevin, I roared. Sarah smiled. Yeah. So what? Why? Why? Sarah said. I asked him for $200. And he only gave me $192. Is that reason enough? Before that, he had just spent $15 on a pack of cigarettes for me. After speaking, she squatted down and lightly tapped my face with a dagger. Just kidding. We've just never killed anyone before, and wanted to try it out. After all, I'll be 14 after October. I couldn't believe it. Could someone kill a childhood friend just out of curiosity? Sarah shrugged indifferently, her face turning fierce. Originally, everything was fine. The Buddha mother also agreed to use the body as a sacrifice to cover our tracks. Emily. You're too strange. You can see what shouldn't be seen. And you said what shouldn't be said. Kevin's body was dug up. So you'll have to be the sacrifice. Before that, I'm going to gouge out your eyes and see what's so special about them. The dagger grazed my face, and beads of blood seeped out. Even in this small mountain village, the internet had spread, and reports of many heinous incidents made me realize that the world wasn't as simple as I imagined. But today's experience still shattered my perception. Even ghosts had consciences. Yet these 3 10-year-old children were more vicious than malevolent spirits. Wait. The previously silent Michael said. Huh? Sarah turned back. Annoyed. Michael said. The Buddha mother said she needs a complete body for the sacrifice. Sarah snorted and retracted the dagger. The 3 of them busily lifted me into the coffin and closed the lid. It was pitch black. An extremely cold aura enveloped my body. But it was deterred by the jade pendant on my chest and couldn't invade for a while. I had empowered it with incantations, bringing the Taoist book and the jade pendant. Even malevolent spirits feared it. Yet, in the face of similar evil, it seemed inadequate. In the darkness, Kevin's shadow appeared. I saw Kevin standing by the restroom, being beaten by several classmates. I saw him being publicly stripped of his pants in the classroom. I saw him begging in the small grove. Yet still, I couldn't bear to watch anymore. My body temperature gradually dropped. Kevin, I'm here to join you. In the endless darkness, a red-robed, black-haired man strode towards the temple, his face filled with solemnity. The Taoist priest from the seaside Zhong Kuei ritual turned. My obstruction was merely a brief interlude and didn't affect the ritual's progress. Mr. Smith quickly stepped forward to thank Zhong Kuei, who remained silent in response. Normally, once the ritual was complete, the master would head back. But the Zhong Kuei Taoist priest, after returning to the village, ignored all objections and went straight up the mountain path. He looked up at the mountain peak, vengeful spirits danced, and black mist permeated the air. The Taoist priest sneered. What a heavy demonic presence. The great Black Buddha Mother is about to break free and return to the human world. I fear that in less than 10 days, everyone in Yang family village will perish. The great Black Buddha Mother's plan was quite subtle. If not for that young friend's insight just now, he probably would have been misled. The timing wasn't ideal now, but they couldn't delay any longer. He formed a hand seal with his left hand, and with his right, he pointed his sword forward. 2 rows of purifying flames lit up successively along the mountain path, leading directly to the summit. The previously eerie and windy path, now that the illusion was broken, was clear and unobstructed. Halfway up the mountain, the Taoist priest suddenly stopped. His expression was solemn, his sword held ready. Drip, drip, drip. Dripping sounds came from nearby. 4 ghostly figures appeared in the air. A male corpse held a chainsaw, half of his skull hanging from the chain, a headless ghost. A woman in a white dress, her face swollen, her eyes hollow, a drowned ghost. 2 ghost infants, their faces pale, giggled and held hands, floating closer and closer. All were malevolent spirits. We're done for. The Taoist priest swallowed hard, looking towards the mountaintop. Young friend, seek your own blessings. Bang! The temple door was kicked open. Sarah frantically threw open the lid. All three of their faces showed some panic. Damn it. How did that Taoist priest get up the mountain? Sarah cursed. David said. The Buddha mother sent malevolent spirits to block the way. Don't worry. Sarah kicked him. And David, tall as he was, dared not speak. Damn it. Do you think I'm afraid of that Taoist priest? At worst, we'll kill him too. It's just that the Buddha mother's ritual has to start early. We don't have time to wait 7 days for her to slowly descend. My mind eased slightly. It seemed the Zhongkue Taoist priest had also discovered the anomaly. I just didn't know if he could handle the malevolent spirits. Suddenly, a scream. David slowly fell to the ground. Sarah retracted her dagger, grinning menacingly as she turned to Michael. Michael, don't blame me for being ruthless. An early sacrifice of one person won't be enough. When Michael fell, Sarah's face grew darker and darker, indistinguishable between human and ghost. Emily, only you are different. The Buddha mother wants to take your life herself. She searched my body, pulled out the Taoist book, tore it to shreds, then yanked off the jade pendant and violently smashed it into 2 halves. Sarah, carrying 2 buckets of gasoline, poured it over me and inside the temple, then walked out the temple door and, from a distance, threw a match. Boom! Flames shot into the sky. In an instant, I smelled burning flesh. From agonizing pain to unconsciousness. In just a few dozen seconds, I was on the verge of death. Would I become a vengeful spirit? Carrying such resentment and hatred? This thought vanished in a flash. While my consciousness was blurry, a chilling force began its invasion. It wanted to use my body as a medium to descend. The terror of the great black Buddha mother was far beyond that of ordinary malevolent spirits. I had to stop her. Otherwise, everyone in the village would die. Using this chilling aura, I briefly regained movement. I broke free from the burned ropes and crawled towards the center of the old temple. The Book of Taoist Arts had long been burned to ashes. On the ground lay the fragments of the jade pendant. It had originally been a concave circle, but now it was split into 2 pieces down the middle. Eerily similar to the divination blocks my father used for ancestral worship. I knelt, holding the fragments, and with my already burned vocal cords, I sent a phantom question to my ancestors. Respectfully, I cast the divination blocks. The great black Buddha mother descends upon the human world. Should she be executed? A yin and yang. A holy cup. Emily, descendant of the Yang family. May she exorcise evil? A holy cup. Emily's cultivation is low. May she receive assistance? A holy cup. An immense power, transcending time and space, descended upon me. The chilling sensation brought by the great black Buddha mother vanished. I rose from the flames, my wounds healing rapidly. The fire continued to burn but could no longer harm me in the slightest. Where Sarah had cut my brow, a golden vertical I now grew. At this moment, I understood many things. Why I saw Kevin's past in the coffin. Why I sensed the strangeness at MS Smith's school. Why I could see the forms of ghosts. Why that Taoist priest back then hadn't even finished speaking before he suffered a backlash and vomited blood. Forced to change his words at the last minute. The celestial eye perceives the past and future. The divine eye discerns all things in the world. The ghost eye traverses the yin and yang realms. What I possessed was not the celestial eye. nor the divine eye. And certainly not the ghost eye. It was the eye of Erlangchen, the illustrious saint. I gently waved my hand. The statue of the great black Buddha mother crumbled into dust, along with the terrifying demonic energy on it. Utterly annihilated. Then, forming a hand seal, rain poured down, extinguishing the mountain fire. Stepping out of the temple gate, countless vengeful spirits gathered and flew towards me. My eyes suddenly emitted a divine light. Those vengeful spirits were purified before they even got close. Seeing me unharmed, Sarah, not far away, trembled in her legs. The usually audacious girl was so scared she wet her pants. I was wrong. Emily, please don't kill me. I want to go to jail. Send me to jail. She frantically kowtowed. I listened to her thoughts and smiled without speaking. She knew very well that even if she went to prison, she wouldn't stay there long. The first thing she would do after being released was to kill Emily, who had made her so miserable. Seeing me remain silent, Sarah's face turned vicious. She plunged the knife into her own chest. Haha. I'll use myself as a sacrifice. None of you will live. Sarah slowly fell. Sarah's corpse twitched a few times. Her eyes pitch black. And she sat up again. The great black Buddha mother had already left a contingency plan on her in case of emergency. However, the fully manifested great black Buddha mother screamed the moment she saw me and fainted again. To speak of the great peacock wisdom King Buddha is one thing. But what are you? Do you even deserve to be called a Buddha mother? I looked at the black soul in my palm and gently squeezed it. This demon no longer existed in the world. Having done all this, I swayed and fell to the ground. I fell seriously ill. When I woke, I heard from my dad that the Taoist priest had climbed the mountain overnight and carried me back, unconscious. No one knew what I had done. That night, there was a fire on the mountain, but it died down quickly. Perhaps because of that fire, a small burn scar appeared on my brow, looking like an eye. My dad joked. Now you really have the celestial eye. I just smiled without answering. A guest arrived, and I recognized the master who had performed the Zhong Kuei ritual that day as the same Taoist priest who had given me that book when I was a child. He smiled and said, "Young friend, I told you we would meet again." I felt a little ashamed. I hadn't taken good care of that book. The Taoist priest smiled and patted me. "It's in your heart." Oh. Right. There's something else that perhaps the master needs to explain. He seemed thoughtful. I'll take care of it in a few days. It's nothing more than announcing to the outside world that the great black Buddha mother has been defeated. And there's no need to suppress her anymore. As he left, the Taoist priest asked me if I regretted it. After that battle on the mountaintop, I had completely lost the extraordinary vision of my eyes. Now, I was like any normal person, unable to see anything extra. I shook my head. Indeed, it was a foolish question for this humble priest to ask. He said with a free-spirited smile. His left sleeve was empty. That night, he had been in a hurry to go up the mountain and face the four malevolent spirits alone. How could he have emerged unscathed? What are your plans next? I asked. Return to the mountains and find a closed-door disciple. What about you? Preparing for college entrance exams. That night on the mountain, another terrifying thing happened. Sarah suddenly went mad and killed David and Michael. And also tried to kill me. But for some reason, she accidentally stabbed herself to death. That's what I told them. In the subsequent police investigation, they found that they were indeed the culprits behind long-term school bullying and had ultimately killed Kevin. My experience was interpreted as discovering evidence of the crime, and the perpetrators attempting to murder me to silence me. My aspirations, of course, weren't just to attend college. Although I could no longer see the ghosts of the underworld, I saw even more ghosts in the human world. On a certain month and day, a murder occurred in a certain city. A sophomore locked himself in his room, lit 3 incense sticks before a statue, and then took out 2 pieces of jade from his and pressed his palms together. The end.